Alright, how we doing, folks? Your boy Marco's winning 225 numbers after the name. A little Breath of the Wild action here, man. I want to give you guys a couple more Divine Beast fights here before we call it kind of quits on what will probably be the end of. I'm never saying never. This is a game that I could definitely see myself replaying, man. Especially if I take like the Switch to when I go to like Spain or something, man. I wouldn't mind just. I hope they have like a couple different games that I can play when I'm out there. I really hope that when I go this summer, for example, I have a lot of virtual console games. I like to sink my teeth into a lot because I'm expecting to purchase a lot of virtual console games here as long as the emulation is done correctly. You know, more towards the Wii style than the Wii U style or whatever. But this is a game that I could definitely see myself replaying, man. And I want to talk a little bit more about some of the positive aspects of Breath of the Wild that I didn't get to talk to too much on the earlier video this week, man. The crafting system, like the food, like recipe kind of system to me, that is crazy, man. Like, there's so much you could do with that. And I'm still towards the end of the game. I probably sank, I want to say somewhere between like 40 to like 60 hours in this game. And by the end of it, I was still coming up with like recipes that I hadn't figured out and combining stuff that I hadn't figured out. I'll tell you one little quick negative that I didn't like, but eventually I managed to figure out was, you know, the money, the loot system, I guess the money like in this game, there's not really like a lot of it. It's kind of, you got to be careful with that. So when I would get to areas, you know, when I first got to the Goron place, I wasn't sure how to protect myself from the fire. You know, I knew that I could kind of cook like some stuff that made me immune to it for a certain period of time, and I bought some elixirs to kind of get through the initial thrust. But once I was in there, I couldn't really figure out why in some places I wasn't. And then I kind of learned that, I learned this when I got to the Gerudo side, that you combine pieces to make like an armor set, and it kind of expands the effect that it has, and that's kind of how you get that kind of stuff. But that wasn't necessarily clear, and that's not a fault in the game. Honestly, I really enjoyed a lot of the aspects of the game that weren't clear to me and learning through it. And part of that is something that you have to do as a user in terms of just kind of blacking out content. Like, I could have just gone on a wiki and figured stuff out and just be like, oh, combine that with that and that does that, or combine these two things. But I didn't. I literally went on, I went on, I don't think I went on to look up anything, generally, except for I got a map where all the shrines were on it. And I didn't even print out anything. I just kind of looked at it, like, just for 5 minutes, and I was like, I was like, so there might be a shrine up there, might be a shrine. And that was kind of it. And then I kind of went home like that. I looked at it like I worked during, like, lunch, and I went home that night, and I was like, all right, let me explore this, let me explore that. But I haven't had, and, you know, I don't really remember a game ever really having me do this. You know, since I've had, you know, the luxury of having a bunch of games. You know, earlier when I was growing up, I play the hell out of a lot of games, man. Like Donkey Kong Country, Donkey Kong Country 2. I know those things like the back of my hand. I know every single barrel in every single place because I just play the shit out of them. Not necessarily because they were, and they are great games, you know, that's why I kept playing them. But I didn't really explore all that because the game was kind of motivating me to it, or nothing like that. Whereas Zelda, like before I went to go take on Ganon, I swooped the whole map top to bottom, clockwise, counterclockwise, looking for shrines and just looking for cool stuff. And, you know, like Eventide Island or Eventide Island, whatever, like finding that was like crazy. The labyrinths were like nuts. Like, there's so much stuff there that if you're not willing to invest the time in, you're not gonna get the 100% experience in this game. This isn't a game where you can just kind of go and fly by quickly. You need to take the time off to do that. And I actually took like the time off to do that. Like I didn't play into games like for a month. I barely played like Call of Duty. I didn't touch anything else, period, except for this. I was knee deep and immersed. I'm playing like Uncharted on my Vita. Didn't play a while. I didn't even touch my Vita. I couldn't do it. And even like a week after I beat Zelda, I still didn't play any games. I was still kind of like just like trying to be like, ah, man, I don't really know. I'm trying to recover. I didn't even know what to do. And I think you'll see next week. What do we got over here? Journey. Yeah, I went to Journey. I wanted something easy, something palatable that I hadn't played yet, and I kind of just wanted to get my mind off. And I ended up beating Journey like one night, and then I think I went into like Until Dawn or Blaster Master. You'll see him coming up over here. His games beatings in the upcoming weeks over here. And now I'm kind of full-fledged back into my regular video game mode. You know, I'm kind of playing. I'm maybe playing Dark Souls 2 here. Hopefully sometime soon. I've been playing Dark Souls 2 for like years now, and I haven't been able to sit down and actually do it. So there really is like a before and after when it comes to the Breath of the Wild, and it's a game that you could play forever. The characters are so entertaining. I really liked all the champions except for the bird guy. I could have done without him. But the other 3 were dope. I love all the Goron stuff. That to me was some of my favorite stuff. The Zoran champion, he was probably my favorite. That guy was cool, man. And he was just like, and the Divine Beast boss fight for the Zelda part, or for the Zora part, to me was my favorite one of them. Even though the Sand Seal one of the Goron Desert, that guy was pretty cool too. So there's just genuine fun. It's captivating for a lot of different people. I had my girl here. She would oftentimes just watch it and just it's 2 things that are pretty funny about her. She loves Uncharted. It's kind of like her favorite games, whatever. And she saw this and she was like, "Hold up, like this looks like trash though, like compared to Uncharted 4." And I was like, "All right." And I was like, "Well, let's calm down. It's 2 different graphical styles. Let's relax." And by the way, this video for me here, you're gonna notice, is me trying to figure out how the hell did I hurt this guy. And this is pretty much every time I'd fight one of these Ganon forms. I'd get the first part down pretty easy. That was cake. But the second part, I end up just like being stuck on and saying, I don't really understand like what I'm supposed to do to hurt you, man. You kind of seem new to this, and I keep missing it. Normally, it had something to do with one of your Sheikah Slate abilities and whatnot. The Sheikah Slate abilities, you know, that was an interesting thing, man. And there's so many levers to this game, like the weaponry, right? When I first heard that the weapons were gonna be like, you know, you use them and they expire after a certain amount of uses or whatever, that you have to like get rid of them and whatnot, they'll break on you. I didn't really like that. I don't really like games that have like durability on them. You know, I think Fallout 4 kind of has that kind of stuff, and it's alright, but I prefer to have weapons that I really like and feel comfortable with and get an attachment to. Having said that, if I ever, and I still feel that way after that, I still prefer Breath of the Wild where I got my like 5 or 6 swords that I really liked, my axe, and I kind of kept it. But I understand what they were going for. I think they executed it very well, and it is by far the best way I've ever played a game that forces me to do that. I prefer for that mechanic not to be there, but if it has to be there, this is definitely the best way that I've seen it used. The same thing with the shield, same thing with the bow and arrow, or whatever. Same drum. The only thing mechanically also that I had a little bit of issue with was the placement of like the run and the jump buttons, because they were kind of on opposite ends. So I just didn't really like it ever. I just didn't. So you know that here's where I started figuring. I was like, I could lift this up with the magnet, which I could have sworn I tried at the beginning, but it didn't work. But neither here nor there. You know, mechanically speaking, that's kind of the only flaw I had with it. But everything else played very smooth and was very intuitive how to use. The physics in this game are crazy. Like a lot of those puzzles in those shrines are physics-based puzzles. You know, it really doesn't have too much to do with your abilities necessarily. About like, you know, it's more of just like your intelligence. It's kind of testing you of being like, all right, man, here's a puzzle. Figure it out. I don't want to compare to Portal 2 because obviously there's no like Portal 2 gun or something like that. But it reminded me of something that you'd like expect from Portal 2, where it's like, hey man, here's like the 3 things you could do, and figure it out. And what's really impressive in this game was they give you all your tools right at the beginning, and then they tell you, well, they don't tell you anything. They give you your tools at the beginning, and then it's up to you to figure out how to do this. And there's so many different ways of figuring out puzzles. One of my favorites that I had was there was like a puzzle where I needed to get electricity from one side of the floor to the other, and I had these boxes that I kind of put in between, like those spaces that were preventing the electricity from flowing. So I put these metal boxes to carry it over, but I was short one box, and I was pretty sure there was probably a box somewhere, but I couldn't find it. So what I ended up doing was I put a big sword that I had in between there, and the sword conducted the electricity onto the other end. That was dope. That was dope. That was dope. It was really cool too seeing. After I beat it, I looked at some walkthroughs, some people, you know, like ProJair, some people that I like to follow, and I just wanted to see how they solved some of the shrines, and it was pretty cool to see them do things completely different that I would have never thought of. For example, I didn't really ever use the ice block thing, the cryostasis or whatever the hell it's called, all that much. I just didn't. I honestly, I'd kind of forget about it, and sometimes I'd see it, and sometimes when I saw water, it may trigger it. I kind of remember it, but oftentimes I just didn't use that. Didn't really need it. And it's interesting to see like people use that in different shrines and whatnot. Even use it in the open world to get to like Ganon's castle. I saw somebody use it to get over there. I didn't think about that at all. I kind of just flew from a high point and trying to swam my way in. Swimming. There's another negative too. Link sucks at swimming, man. What's up with that, Link? Step up your game with the swimming, man. What's up with that? Even though if you get stamina later, it's alright. But you still, like, my man just dies if he runs out of stamina. Like, who does that? Who just gets so tired in the water that they just die? I guess if you got tired enough of the water, you might just die, man. Your boy Marcos, man. Freestyle Friday with some extended Breath of the Wild thoughts here. Deuces. Ganon's going down.